If you ever look at your tax bill and thought, I know there has to be a smarter way doing this lesson is for you. Maybe you have heard people talk about cost segregation, maybe a friend brag about their rental while at their taxes, and you are not, and you are sitting there thinking, did I miss the boat? Is it too late for me? In this video, I want to show you why you haven't missed the boat at all. We're going to take a one normal, boring, realistic rental property, $900,000 deal, and pull back the curtain on what cost segregation plus bonus depreciation actually does to this number. Not in theory, but in real dollars. I want you, as an investor, landlord, agent, or tax pro, to be able to look at this and say, okay, now I get why people keep talking about this. And I see exactly what I have been leaving on the table. So as you listen, keep your own situation in the back of your mind. Picture one of your properties. Picture that next deal you are analyzing and ask yourself, if my number were even in this ballpark, would this change how aggressive I move? Let's start by building a property that looks like something you might actually buy. It's 2026, you pick up a small multifamily, maybe a fourplex or maybe a small apartment building. Nothing flashy, it's just a solid rental. But the total purchase price on the closing statement, $900,000. Now, if you are like most investor, the first time you hear depreciation, you think, okay, I just divide 900K by 27 and a half and call it a day, right? That's the traditional path, but honestly, that's what a lot of investor and even some tax preparers still do. They throw the whole thing into one big building bucket and move on. But here's the catch. $900,000 is not created equal. Part of that price is land, and part of it is the actual building, the wall, the roof, the structure. Part of it is stuff on the land like parking, fences, sidewalk, and lighting. And part of it is the guts and goodies inside the unit, like the appliances, flooring, cabinets, fixtures. If you treat all of that like a 27.5 year building, you're essentially telling the us, I'm okay being paid back super slowly. With cost decoration is how you're saying, no, I like to be a little smarter, please. So step one is always to pull out the land because land is never get depreciated. To keep this simple, we use a common planning assumption. Say land is 20% of the total price. On 900K, that means land at 20% is 180K. The rest, 90K minus 180K, is 720K of stuff we actually get to depreciate. That 720K is the real star of the show. It's the piece that cost segregation is playing with. So right now, we got total price 90K, land 180K, depreciable building improvements 720K. And we are going to assume this is residential rental property, so the long life building default is 27.5. So far, so good. Now the big question comes, do we treat the entire 720K as one slow drip, like a slow French drip coffee at 27.5 year building, or do we separate the piece and let the big beautiful tax bill give us a serious jump start on part of it? So let's break that 720K into something more honest, right? Think about what really sitting in and around a small multi-family property. So you got the building shell, structure, roof, plumbing, and electrical in the wall, the main system. You got land improvement like the parking lot, driveway, sidewalk, fences, retaining wall, exterior light, and landscape fixture. And you got the personal property type asset, like what the refrigerator, stoves, dishwashers, microwave, carpet, or some floor covering, some cabinets, decorative lightings, and so on. In the cost decoration world, the last two groups, the land improvements and the personal property, often qualify for much shorter lives. And in the big, beautiful tax bill era, shorter life can mean 100% bonus depreciation. For planning, a very workable split on a property Like this could be maybe about 12.5% of depreciable cost in 5-year property, about 12.5% in 15-year land improvement, and the remaining 75% in long life 27.5-year building shell. So those numbers won't match every single property on earth, but they're absolutely in the realm of this is what an engineering-based study might land near. So let's do the math on the 720K. So 12.5% of 720K is 90K. Another 7.5% is another 90K. 75% is 540K. So our rough buckets become 5-year property, 90K. 15-year land improvement, 90K. 7.5-year building shell, 540K. Add them up and we arrive back at the same 720K of depreciable cost. If we didn't invest money, we just got more honest about what that building is actually made of, right? And this is the moment where cost start to matter. Because in the big, beautiful tax bill world, the 5-year and 15-year property lives 20 years or less can qualify for 100% bonus depreciation when the usual rules are met. So instead of waiting years to recover those parts, you can front load them. Now let's actually compare the two paths. The first path, do nothing special. In this path, you ignore cost segregation entirely. You tell your software, building 27.5, 720,000. Year one straight line depreciation is 720,000 divided by 27.5 year. That give you about $26,200 of depreciation in year one. That's it. One number, about 26,200. If you have been a landlord for a while and you never done a cost sec, this is probably what you have been doing. You are not alone, but you are definitely not squeezing everything out of that property. Second path, cost secs plus 100% bonus on the shorter life components. Here you're using the breakdown we just built. So 540K as the 27.5-year building shell, 90K is 5-year, 90K is 15-year land improvements. The building shell, 540K over 27.5 year, give you roughly about $19,600 of depreciation in year one. That one piece of the puzzle. The reaction is in the 5 and 15-year buckets. Those two add up 90K plus 90K is 180K. And because their life are 20 years or less, they're in the group that qualify for 100% bonus under the Big Beautiful Tax Bill rules. So instead of spreading that 100K over 5 and 15 years, you write off the entire 180K in first year. So what does year one look like now? So around 19,600 on the long life building shell, plus 180K of bonus on the short life property. So that roughly 199K, $600 of depreciation in year one. Now put the two paths side by side. No cost sec is about 26,200 in year one. Cost sec with bonus is about 199,600 in year one. Same property, same total depreciation over time, but almost 200K of it showed up in the first year instead of slowly dripping out. If you are an investor trying to free up cash or a tax flow, trying to help a client manage a big income year, that difference is not small. That's the difference between a tax bill that choke you and a tax bill you can actually live with. Now let's translate it into what you already feel, the tax hit. Depreciation is just a tool. Tax saving is what hits your bank account. So we'll see a sample combined magical rate like federal plus state of 35%. Your might be higher, might be lower, but that give us a ballpark. Plus the plain vanilla path, right? No cost sec, no bonus. So year one depreciation is about 26,200 at a 35% tax rate. That would save you roughly about $9,170 in tax. Now the cost sec plus bonus path. So year one depreciation about $199,600. That same 35% rate that save you roughly $69,860. The two number around. So you're looking at comparing between 9,170 versus 69,860. That's the heart of the lesson because the difference between them is about $60,000 of extra tax saving in the first year. That's not some fancy loophole, right? You're not creating deduction out of thin air. You're just accelerating them. But if you are looking at a deal in 26 and thinking, I need every dollar working for me, pulling 60 something thousand of tax saving to forward can be the difference between saying yes to a property and walking away. And this is where a lot of investors realize, oh, that's why people keep talking about cost segregation. That's why the high income folk are obsessing with it. Now, if you are a tax pro or you are a number friend and your investing group, you might be wondering how this actually showed up on the return. Let's talk about that briefly because it helps you visualize the flow. For an individual investor reporting rental on Schedule E, each property has no depreciation schedule. And the no cost backward, your depreciation schedule for the property is just a line that's basically say residential rental building, 27.5 year basis, 720K. The software calculate about 26,200 of depreciation. That number drop into the depreciation line on Schedule E for that property. It flows into your rental income or loss and then into your adjusted gross income. Simple but not optimized. And the cost backward, your depreciation schedule look more like this. Residential building, shell, 27.5 year, basic 540K. 5 year property, basic 90K. 15 year land improvement, basic 90K. The total depreciation, the 19,600 on the building shell, plus 180K of bonus, still land on the same depreciation schedule line on Schedule E. But now, instead of a modest deduction, you got a very large one, which means your net rental result for that property is much lower. Maybe even a large paper loss in year one. From there, it's all about your facts. Is it activity passive for you? Are you a real estate professional? Is it a short-term rental that might be treated as non-passive? Do you have other passive income it can offset? There's rules on that a whole topic by themselves, and we're covering somewhere in this course. But I want you to mentally connect the dots. Cost sec and bonus don't sit in a spreadsheet. They show up in bigger depreciation on Schedule E or on the K1. And they either reduce your current tax bill or build losses that might be used later. If you are operating through a partnership or S corporation, the story is similar. The entity holds a depreciation schedule and takes the big deduction. That lowers the entity taxable income or increase loss. Then that result flow through on K1 to the owners. Whether the owner gets to actually use that loss go back to the same question. Passive versus non-passive. Their overall income mix are the limitations. If you are a tax pro in 2026, you are looking at a client with a property like this and asking, do they have enough income for this to matter right now? Are they in a high enough bracket that pulling depreciation forward is clearly valuable? Is the property large and complex enough that a normal cost study is worth the fee? The number we just walked through give you a mental benchmark for the discussion. Let's pull this together and then talk about what you should do next. We look at one realistic deal, $900,000 acquisition in 26. We peel up 20% as land, leaving 720K as depreciable basis. We split that 720 into three buckets. 90K for 5 year properties, 90K for 15-year land improvements, and 540K for the 27.5-year building shell. We compare no cost sec, no bonus, which is about $26,200 in depreciation in year one, with cost sec plus 100% bonus depreciation short life is about $199,600 in year one. We convert that into a rough tax saving at a 35% tax rate. That's about 9,000 saving on the no cost sec, right? And then again about 69,000 of the of depreciation um, on the cost sec. So the difference is about 60K in the first year. And we traced how that extra depreciation actually flow through Schedule A or K1 into the rest of the return. If you've been thinking I'm probably too small for this, or I missed the 100% bonus window, I don't really understand how this helps, I want you to sit with that $60,000-ish dollar difference for a second, because that's the kind of number that let investor either cover a big renovation, fund the next down payment, or simply not send as much capital as in a high income year. This is why cost segregation keep coming up in serious real estate conversations. It's not about fancy words, it's about moving real money into the year where you need it most. So here's your homework between this lesson and the next module. Text one real estate, something you own or something you are analyzing, and mentally run the same pattern. You are looking at a total price, reasonable land value, a rough split between short life buckets and the building shell, year one depreciation with and without cost sec and bonus. Then apply your own tax rate and ask, what's the size of the difference for me? In module 2, we're going to make that even easier by dropping this logic and play it out for you. You will plug in your purchase price, your land number, your assumption, and build up something that can estimate the 5, 15, and building shell bucket that show you the project year one impact on your taxes. That's where they stop being just an interesting case study and become a planning tool for your next decision. When you're ready to see your own number, not just this $900,000 example, I'll meet you in module 2.